In the hectic oil town of Porticult, where fried fish and curhorns filled the atmosphere with smoke, a young man named Kofi resided. He was the kind of person who could put on inexpensive slippers and yet act as if he was set to go and pick up rent from a billionaire. If you're new, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Also, let us know where you're watching from. His life had not been smooth. His mother had died having him, and his fisherman father went to Gabon to purchase spare boat parts and somehow lost his way back. Kofi was left on his own and brought up by his auntie Mama Ajoa, a stout, warm-hearted woman whose hands smelt always of starfish. She hawked fish soup on the street and had only one ambition for Kofi. "My son, just get a good job, marry a good woman from the church, and live better than your father." But Kofi's ambition was a Netflix special red carpet existence with a foreign wife and a fat wallet. He would sit on the low fence facing Mama Ajoa's shop, seeing white expatriates go by in air-conditioned vehicles, drinking starboard cups like old oxygen. His eyes would follow the vehicles until they vanished, and he would curse softly, just one day, "They will be the ones to wave at me." Since childhood, he thought that he was meant for greater things. While his friends aspired to be doctors or engineers, he aspired to be rich without the necessity to tell them how. He was so full of himself that even when he only had 200 naira in his pocket, he still strutted about like a man with international business transactions in his briefcase. His attire was a manifestation of his ambition: jeans sets, decent shirts, and a capped cap with only one seam. The only barrier between Kofi and that dream life was life itself. Mama Ajoa would shake her head whenever she caught him gazing at the sky. "Kofi, dream small small. This your dream, it no be like say you get hunchback." But Kofi would simply laugh and reply, "Mama, poverty and I, we no day WhatsApp." He was familiar on Porticult streets for attempting and failing at one business after another. He sold clothing, overnight trips to Lagos, coming back with suitcases of designer shirts that no one purchased, so he ended up wearing them all himself. In one December, he set up a barber shop with his 20,000 naira in savings. He purchased one pair of clippers, a mirror, and 2 plastic chairs. But there was a minor snag: he didn't really know how to cut hair. His first client went out with his head looking like a zigzag road measuring tool had been used on it. Then he attempted to bake pastry. Kofi's meat pies were as hard as bullets, and people called them bulletproof snacks. He shut down the shop after his own aunt nearly broke a tooth. In desperation, he got a job at Mama Deed's boutique and made 15,000 naira a month. His work involved sweeping the shop, organizing clothes, posing in them, selling, guarding the shop, and smiling at clients whether convenient or not. After 2 weeks, he told himself, "I don't know if this woman actually employed me or took me in as a slave, because why in God's name will she pay me 15,000 naira for all I'm doing?" And that was how he sacked himself, left with just 200 naira in his account. One afternoon, as he washed clothes in the garden, singing a song about destiny helpers, the compound gates clattered open. It was his boyhood friend and part-time town crier rushing in, holding his phone like he had just heard a word from above. "Kofi, bro, who chase you? Why you burstin' like policemen who don't knock? Bro, you won't believe this." His friend answered in short gasps. "Our classmate, the one who could not coordinate colors, married." Kofi hesitated, recalling, then it hit him. "Oh, chitty, That one, yes, but wait. His friend went on. She wedded a man with hotels in Toronto and factories as well. Kofi's mind was doing the math faster than a student of mathematics. If Chitty could transmute from fry puff vendor to Mrs. Toronto, then why not live in snow? When is this wedding? He inquired. Next month. It's going to be a 3-day carnival. White wedding, cultural day, and boat cruise, replied his friend. Kofi's antennae, like ears, perked up. Will they invite me? I don't know yet, but if you purchase a ticket, why not? The friend smiled. How much? Kofi asked. 250 000 naira. Kofi's mouth fell open. 250 000 naira. That's not mere money. That's my ancestral fortune. But the outfit was imported silk with personal embroidery, and all of the groom's friends were comedians as well as some unmarried, some wealthy, some both. Opportunity had come. This wedding was not merely a wedding, it was his international market day. If Chitty could arrest a Toronto billionaire, then he would cast his net in the same waters. He knew 2 things that day. He wasn't going to miss that wedding, and he wasn't going there to devour rice. He was going to hunt big game. The only issue was the 250 000 naira for the clothing, not transporting, or the pocket change money he would have to spend in order to appear like a man of class. So he began to move like a politician seeking campaign donations. He began with his uncle, a frugal man who wished to lock his fridge with a padlock. Uncle Sonny, please, I require some financial support for an investment. What business? Uncle asked. Importation, sir. Kofi answered. 2 hours later, through sweet talk and pretentious tears, Uncle Sonny handed him 150 000 naira with a threat. You better bring back my money or just sell your piece because I will harass you. Kofi begged the last 100 000 naira from a family friend, offering to return it before the Harmattan wind blew into December. He purchased the attire and made some more money from Mama Ajoa before going to his tailor, Master Ibuka, a man who opined that tight clothes made one appear wealthy. Kofi informed him that he needed something sharp yet comfortable. Inside the wedding hall, security officers wore shades indoors reminiscent of FBI agents. The moment they stepped in, Kofi's eyes roamed the hall like CCTV cameras. His mission was evident: shun broke guests, shun Nigerian women at all costs, and go for foreign women, preferably ones clutching wine glasses with slender fingers. The hallway was crowded with individuals taking photos in front of flower walls. The bride resembled an Instagram filter come to life. The groom, a beaming foreigner with reddened cheeks, proudly stood by her side. But Kofi wasn't there for them. He attended for their friends. Then, in slow-motion style, she walked in flashing a diamond necklace that would be enough to rent half of Porte-Cult. She had the serene air of one who had never been to M3 Market since birth. Guy, look how she glows. Kofi whispered, who is she? Kofi asked, this is Clara, the groom's cousin. She's French but based in Canada, runs restaurants in Toronto. Kofi's heart began racing. This is it. This is my foreign connection. He didn't hesitate. Approaching her confidently, like a man determined to take his fate by storm, he introduced himself, saying, hello, you must be the groom's cousin, right? Yes, are you? Clara replied, I'm Kofi, entrepreneur, investor, and visionary. Before she could ask questions, Kofi switched on his best Canadian accent, which unfortunately sounded like Calabar and London fighting for a microphone. Clara asked what he did for fun. I like to snowboard. Wow, you've been to Canada before. Oh yes, in my dreams. They laughed, and the hiccups softened into charm. By night's end, Kofi had her phone number stored as my Snow Queen, and she had his as Kofi from the wedding. As they parted, Kofi's friend whispered, Guy, you don't call her number. My brother, I just got my visa application form. He strolled out of Paradise Hall that evening like an Olympic medalist. The phone took on a new role as his altar. The first message arrived 2 days later. Hi, Kofi, it was nice meeting you at the wedding. Kofi's fingers trembled as he typed back, Hello, my snowflake. The wedding was only brilliant because of your light. He read it 3 times, replaced snowflake with Snow Queen, as it sounded more affluent, and sent it. Her response came immediately, Awa, you are so sweet. From that moment, exchange intensified until Clara sent him $200, telling him it was for his data. Kofi almost fainted and kept his phone charged. With the funds, he purchased new outfits and sent studio photos by request. The joke became a full-fledged relationship. One day, Clara called him via video from her apartment, and halfway through the call, Kofi asked, Will you marry me? Wow, that's too soon. I think I like you, but I will marry you only if you are willing to move to Canada. This was a prayer answered for Kofi, and he nearly fainted in excitement. He exclaimed, Yes, I am more than happy to move. Clara assured him that she would organize everything, and whatever else she uttered in that call was none of his concern. All he did was say, Yeh nah, silently praying that she would hang up so he could jubilate. He began practicing walking in snow by placing his feet in a basin of ice water, and schemed secretly because he did not want anything to hold back this shine. The day arrived sooner than anticipated. He prepared for Canada as if going to establish a boutique there, forgetting not essential Nigerian foodstuff like crayfish, dry fish, and pepper. When Mama Ajoa bid Kofi farewell at Butter Airport, she held him tightly like she was extracting the last Fanta from a bottle. My son, remember me when you get there. Yes, Mama, don't worry. Take care of yourself. Kofi's friend Episcoco also accompanied him, dressed up so smart as if he were the one flying away. They hugged like brothers aboard the plane. Kofi didn't sleep. He kept glancing at the stars, practicing his first post in his mind. But when the plane door opened in Toronto, he felt his body detach from him. The cold hit him so forcefully he had 3 jackets on at the same time, and still felt like a frozen plantain. At the airport entry, Clara had a fur coat and held a sign that said, Welcome my African king. He grinned and waved like a presidential candidate, pulling his bags along with pride. She brought him home with her downtown and fed him fries with cheese curds and gravy. Kofi looked at it as if he was being punked, then queried, Is this yam porridge disguised? Clara giggled and invited him to taste it. He took a bite and breathed softly, Thank God I came with my almighty Gary. That evening, he resolved to go for a brief walk out in the open to appreciate the weather. But in 5 minutes, he rushed back with a red nose, runny eyes, and frostbitten ears. On the second day, he learned something vital. Canada was lovely, but staying alive here would be a type of warfare. But he kept telling himself, Kofi, you have to dominate this country. By the 3rd week in Canada, Clara felt that it was time for him to meet her family. He viewed it as a chance to woo his in-laws and get permanent residence. Clara's parents resided in a peaceful neighborhood in Canada, where homes appeared to be copied and pasted from a magazine cover. The snow outside was new and clean, reminiscent of Christmas commercials. Kofi got out of the car walking as confidently as possible, but with his winter boots he resembled a penguin. The moment they walked into the house, Clara slipped off her boots elegantly. White Kofi stooped to take off his own, and that is when trouble began. His belt, the one he had worn to demonstrate that he was stylish, was so tight he could not bend forward without a protest from his intestines. He attempted cool, grinning as he scrunched a boot out of shape, but the other boot resisted. He tugged and tugged until he lost his balance, staggering forward and nearly colliding with Clara's father. The man steadied him with one hand. They all sat around the dining table, speaking rapidly and staccato like bullets from an AK-47. Kofi didn't hear a word but smiled and nodded like an extra in Nollywood. At some point, Clara's brother questioned him about something he didn't hear, but he said yes and thank you. Everyone laughed. Then came dinner. The plates arrived and Kofi's eyes nearly popped out. There was fish stew with the fish staring directly at him, a shiny black egg that looked prehistoric, and something long and strange. He took one polite bite and instantly regretted it because it crunched like a cockroach shell. He forced a smile, nodding as if he enjoyed it. By the end of the week, no one informed him that life abroad wasn't all snow and Instagram photos. It was learning an entire new life while ensuring you didn't embarrass yourself. The first month in Canada went by like lightning, and they got wedded. Initially, Kofi woke up each morning in Clara's luxurious apartment feeling like he had short-circuited life. The refrigerator was always stocked, but half the food was as if it required a prayer before consumption. He could shower with hot water at any time without power failures, but over time, the welcome party look started to wear off, and reality stepped in like an unwanted relative. Clara worked long hours at a restaurant, leaving Kofi alone most of the day. No neighbors to chat with, no roadside man to wave at, no Ipescoco shouting, "My guy." Sometimes he would sit by the window watching snowfall, sipping hot chocolate, whispering, "If this was Nigeria now, I'd be eating roasted corn by the junction." He even missed Nigerian food so much that he once attempted cooking pepper soup for Clara, but the pepper almost got her into the ER. She had to spend the remainder of the night sipping milk, fanning her tongue, and Kofi wished that pepper soup exercise was never done. A Nigerian baby could proudly take it down and request more without any milk or fanning dramatics. The language issue also didn't go away. One afternoon, Kofi attempted to order chicken at a restaurant, but the waiter was laughing so hard at how he pronounced it that he gave him a free bread out of sympathy. So Kofi had two options: adapt to his new life and language however frustrating and isolating it was, or grab his bags and go back to Porthicult where it was hot. And at least the food and language wouldn't kill him, but the prospect of the 250,000 naira kept him where he was. He referred to it as his capital, and he has to get a return on investment in full. 2 months later, he was still traipsing about as if he had a mantra going through his mind. This was supposed to be the part of the movie where life started looking like Nollywood scenes of a married man to an abroad wife, with Clara waking him up with breakfast in bed, afternoon shopping sprees where he pointed at random items and said, "Wrap it up, I'll take 2. Weekend getaways to New York or Paris just to rest, or Clara giving him a small business to run so he could feel important. Instead, Clara gave him a pile of envelopes one night and told him, "We need to budget." "For what? Haven't I paid the bride price?" he asked. "That's not how Canada works," Clara replied. "Every month we pay rent, utilities, internet, phone, and groceries." Kofi opened the first bill and nearly dropped it. $300. It said. Clara laughed. "That's just the internet bill." There's also hydro, gas, and property tax. Kofi didn't get one thing because nobody fell into line with his agendas. In Portugal, rent cost 60,000 naira annually. You paid and you forgot. Here, the rent for Clara was more than $2.00 a month, and it didn't cover lights too. He did the math in his head. If I exchange this to naira chai, it's like constructing a bungalow per month. He collapsed on the couch, gazing at the bills. Then the reality struck him like the winter gust. Canada was not everything snow, romance, and taking great photographs. It was everything about views, bills, and bills. Clara reminded him, "Babe, you should do something. It is not healthy that you stay home all day. Of course, I've been having the same idea. I can run one of your restaurants. Take charge and see that the staff is content," Kofi said. He imagined himself standing in a crisp suit, clutching a glass of wine, striding through the restaurant like an owner. Clara smiled, but then the following words knocked him about like a bag of frigid snow. "You don't have Canadian work experience, babe. So we have to start small. There's a warehouse near here that's hiring." They had the conversation, and with their assistance, he emailed the company. He was lucky to be hired, and the following morning he showed up at the warehouse, a massive building that looked like it could store all his markets inside. The temperature was -8 degrees, but nobody cared. The supervisor handed him a safety vest and said, "You're on boss's duty. Move them from here to there." Just from here to there, this will be a piece of cake, Kofi figured. He stooped to lift the first box and nearly glimpsed his forebears. The box seemed to be full of cement blocks and obstinacy. By the third box, he was drenched beneath his winter gear, and by the 10th, he was thinking seriously about returning to Nigeria to become a farmer. At lunch break, he expected a Nigerian style break time with jollof rice, stories, and laughter. Instead, everyone sat silently eating sandwiches and staring at their phones. He opened his lunch bag and found Clara had packed salads. He chewed like a goat and was simply suffering but smiling. When the shift ended, Kofi's back was screaming for help. He leaned into the apartment, dropped his gloves, and collapsed onto the couch. "So, how was your first day?" Clara inquired. "My dear, even Pharaoh did not oppress people like this." He slowly removed his shoes and murmured to himself, "So this is part of what people don't show off on the internet. Indeed, not everything that shines is gold. My dear friend, this is where I leave you hanging. Now tell me if Kofi will hold firm or return to Portugal, having all he journeyed across the sea for. Well, let's see.